So yes, you can see why.
Alright, we got share. I'll share screen won't do any good since you're sharing on your end, but that's okay. But they'll at least be able to see you through there. So if
Should I
you want to
plug back
plug
in?
that back in. And that should switch. And there you are. And I will go on my office and make sure that it does look okay, but it should. And then you can just share whatever you need to share.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me know if you need anything else.
All right. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay. We're in business. I have no idea how the Zoom, there's no feedback.
Oh. Well, she sort of implied that there would be some people here.
Right.
Oh, hopefully.
We at least need someone to make sure there's others on Zoom. I don't know how you do that. So if I unplug this, it switches to their system. Oh, it's already somebody in. Gianna, can you hear me? It'd be nice if there's a way to interactively switch back and forth. But I have to unplug the cable to be able to see the screen. Do you see what I'm seeing?
Yeah.
So, but once I plug this in, my computer now drives the
Would it help to
interface.
have my computer involved in any way?
Nope.
Okay.
I have to switch back. So we may be submitting an offer for house number 3 today.
That's exciting.
And
Which suburb?
Chan. So the rest of the fact is that the house number 1, which I said if you don't buy it, I will, was the same distance by as this house here. I mean, it looks like that was a Chan too.
Yeah.
So to say it's too far, I should have been thinking that in house number 1, which I don't think I was thinking as clearly about the implications. So, but the house is stucco. And so, your house is stucco, isn't it? Your house is stucco?
Right.
Okay. And stucco is known to have problems. And I called my friend Mike Heinen, who works in stucco renovation, and he said, "You're getting stucco testing, aren't you?" I was like, so stucco testing is an intrusive investigation. You drill holes in your stucco and then fill them with caulk. And the reality is no one likes it. I don't want to do it. It's expensive. And they don't want to do it because one, it damages the house to some extent. You're drilling holes in your stucco to probe different areas. And two, they found out information they're currently ignorant about. And ignorance can be bliss as a seller.
Right.
Because lack of ignorance means disclosures. So we're trying to work through how to do this. And my friends like have a house that the guy before he put it on the market, he wanted to make sure there's no stucco problem, so he hired CMT, certified moisture testing, to do stucco testing. And then he got a first bid of 60 grand from my company. And we're doing renovations. As we dug into it, we found that there was a whole 20-foot high window assembly that hadn't been detected as damaged. It was badly damaged. And that whole thing has to come out. Good morning. So now there's a $35,000 change order on top of the 60 plus. So it's going to be over $90,000 to repair it. And like, yeah, those are some big numbers. Not like I have to replace a furnace. So I called CMT. Actually, no, I met the owner, I don't know him, many years ago. And we're scheduled for Tuesday. I'm going to submit an offer today. And we're doing like clients do to us. If I get this offer accepted, get to hold this spot. So now we're trying to determine what price you want to offer. And if there's major problems, we have to walk.
But it just came on the market.
No, it's been a month and 2 months.
Oh, so you have a little leverage there.
We do, but the reason it's been on the market so long is because it's stucco.
And that makes some
People
sense.
know that stucco has problems and sometimes very expensive problems. So I said, Stacy asked, do they have they said they had a stucco investigation was performed. And I got the report last night. He said, I went by the house with an infrared camera and inspected and there was no moisture apparent. So that's it? That is not a stucco
No.
investigation at all. So there's no way to really thoroughly do a non-intrusive stucco investigation. You have to do intrusive, or it's just, I've done one, I don't know if you were with me back then. Somebody hired me to do an infrared inspection from the inside and outside, non-intrusive. And I did it, and I sent the pictures, and it showed nothing. There's no moisture present. Does that mean the stucco do it? No, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I won't do them anymore. And I did one that actually drilled holes, I don't know if I told you this.
No.
The Structure Tech does stucco moisture testing.
Okay.
And Mike Tynan told me the backstory of Structure Tech's moisture intrusion stucco testing. So the owner of certified, what used to be private eye investigations or something,
Okay.
took on his right-hand man, Alan Powell. Together they built the company, and in the mid-2000s, like 2005 or so, Alan left to form his own company, certified moisture testing. And at some point, Ruben hired the guy who had been the owner of the private eye to be part of Structure Tech. So the guy knows how to do moisture. It's not like he's experienced and so they do it as well as certified moisture testing. But Alan Powell I know of. I know some people that speak highly of his accuracy and thoroughness. So I asked the office girl, I said, can you have Alan come out? Well, we try to keep him off the two-story houses. I said, how old is Alan? He's 68, and I'm trying to protect him. And now recently he was up on a 40-foot ladder inspecting a 3-story townhome, and that makes all of us nervous. Well, I'm a long way from 68. We're doing funeral planning right now for Danelle's daughter. And Shelley's supposed to have today off, and I will have to be there, so she's doing that instead. So I talked to the selling agent, farming, and she says the woman does like to keep her windows open.
So you're not.
So it's unlikely that they're closed right now, but if they are, she will text me back, and if they're not, they'll know to close them for Saturday.
There you go.
Either way, it's a win. She seemed nice. the other pressing issues?
I'm just trying to think of here. Monday's client and DP then,
And then calling you out of shape. And just reading the email.
and she called, she's the one I was talking to about 10 minutes.
One of the pool inspector. Referral from Mindy.
I didn't want to go overboard with printing those because I didn't have anyone proof them. And I didn't want to make it look like an agent would be carrying something that they didn't know what they were doing. That's how I'm like, I wanted to put a title on it, so if you pick it up, you knew what it was.
The important thing is our number prominently displayed.
Right.
Yes.
So hypothetically, someone could hand that to their client. I just didn't want to put inspection checklist at the top because that really simplifies.
You see, I found some galvanized plumbing on yesterday's inspection. This afternoon's,
Yeah.
and it was badly corroded. And I said, you know, normally I give you a cautionary that galvanized plumbing has issues and will fail at some point. In the case of this house, I'd say it's gonna fail while you own it. It's like there's already holes through the pipe, that you can see rust filling the hole. At some point, those will let go, so that should be dealt with. Or at least you should go in knowing that's not to be dealt with now, or in the regular future. So Steve is planning to talk to some, you know, some cost sharing thing.
So does that mean pipes throughout the house or the
Often,
ones that
yeah.
are visibly?
Because it's when they start going up vertically to the floor, and they have a bathroom on the second floor here, so the first floor and second floor bathroom, it's not just piping. You cut holes in sheet rock, you patch the sheet rock in the paint. Sometimes you pull vanities out, you know, it's a big deal. So that's why I make the red list. So, wow, look, they even brought this for us. That's Steve Schmitz, right? Todd Dunn. I remember when he used to work for us.
For 5 minutes? Are you able, you're not able to see if other people join?
Only if I unplug. So. Jana. Doesn't look like we're muted, but everything we're saying could potentially be picked up. Uh-oh, now we can. That probably shouldn't be the picture they log into. What the heck is that? You know if anyone's gonna introduce or start the class?
Well, I thought Stephanie was, but given, why don't I go out in the hall and
Yeah, see if there's, because we got 4 minutes to the start of the class. And it'd be nice to have some type of formal introduction, so people know we're starting. All of them.
I don't think you need to wear your mask to present it. No one's in here.
Well, you are.
I am, and I.
Keep your distance.
I'm gonna log in. Stephanie just sent me the link. She said that they are notoriously a little late to join, but that said, I don't want to ignore the people that are on, so let me log in here.
You can send them online messages saying, Tom's about to start. I noticed in the last meeting we were here, we started like 10, 15 minutes.
Oh, Reds, I don't have a password.
Oh, can you hook up to the internet?
Yeah, just see if they have a.
You can hotspot off my phone if you want.
I think I used it last time.
Actually, I think that you can hotspot off my phone. Not reliably. Instead of 2 bars signal. Are you in?
Yes,
You found the password?
265, well, the meeting password. I logged on to Health Partners Network down below. Tom, there are 3 people on right now.
Well, shall I begin?
think we could at least, either you could introduce yourself to, just do a couple minutes of chit chat.
Why don't you see that they're online, see if you can send messages, you know, how to do messaging, then, is it
But
Zoom?
what do you want me to ask them?
Is it everyone, can I get ready to, we can't see you. And they can message here if they're having problems hearing, or you can be moderator.
I think it'll be easier for them to follow though if you aren't masked up, if you don't mind.
How about this is a compromise?
Sure. Like the politicians. No one's responding to the time.
Not everyone knows how to use that.
Are you able to go into full screen mode?
Yes. Right here. I could log into Zoom. If there's any value in that.
Okay, we just had someone else join us.
How are they going to ask questions?
Well, that's what I think I'm gonna.
Are you able to turn on your audio?
Yep, I am. Hi, everyone. Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Can anyone hear me?
This is Mark. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, thanks, Mark. Okay, super. We're looking to get started here. I'm sorry?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, fantastic.
Now can they hear me? Is the mic picking me
Yes,
up?
we can hear you as well.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself so that we don't have an echo, and Tom will go ahead and get started.
All right. I can't see any of you. So I'm going to be presenting to a camera. So Alicia is online. Have you muted, Alicia?
You know what, Tom? Now that I see how far the screen is, I think it would be more effective if you can log in to Zoom and share your screen. So I'm going to send you the link real quick. Bear with us, folks, for just 2 minutes here.
Tom, I just emailed it to you.
I'm not. Oh, they're on security.
It was guest.
Oh, there's a guest, KPWR guest.
Mine was just plain guest.
Security. option 2. Xfinity Wi-Fi, but it's forcing me.
Okay, because it's not working.
Oh,
Like,
that's
we
your
need
then?
to screen share. Because it's a lot more. you just get close.
Yeah, okay.
Did you get on
Yes. I don't know. Signal's not bad.
265? There is a. And then just screen share, Tom.
I will.
All right, we're going to try this again. Are you muted? That's,
We're gonna have to go through that thing. So we're doing a presentation to a room without doing it.
and so we're going to present the Zoom share screen. Now, we have an audio pickup feedback problem that Alicia's going to solve. Alicia, we need to turn off that projector system. It's picking up a mic. And sorry for the, we tried to configure this so we can both have people here and people online. But since there's nobody here, we're configuring it differently for just the people online. I wonder.
Zoom that off,
Yes.
or the video.
The audio.
And video.
All of them.
I can turn this off.
But then this is the microphone, so you.
Yeah,
need
I'm
that.
picking up my laptop.
No, we don't. You don't need the microphone.
Yeah, everything's gonna be done now.
Okay. I mean, I think I can just unplug it.
Okay, that should help.
That-
Tell the difference.
Yes, immediately.
And then this you want off,
Yes. That's fine.
like that.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, I figured it out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So you can hear me clearly. I'm going to take my mask off. And of course, I'll put it back on before I leave the building. So what I'm going to do right now is share my screen. Hopefully you can all see this. First, I have to make sure I have the right one up. There it is. Trying to figure out when I'm. So what are you seeing, Alicia? All right, we'll go with this for now. It's not ideal, but it's better than nothing. So this is intended to be an interactive presentation. My name is Tom Jeffroy. I'm the owner and chief investigator at Branch Property Investigations. And I've been doing this for, well, I became a general contractor in '96. I'm an engineer, and I've been investigating properties for actually 25 years, the last 5 plus as a full-time home inspector and radon tester and now mold tester. So a little about my background. Before we dive in though, I want you to know this is intended to be an interactive presentation. So you can use the chat screen to send questions to Alicia, or you can just relay them. And we want to use this as an opportunity to answer any of the things that you have encountered in properties that you want more insight into. You know, we're all seeing things every day. And so this is a great opportunity for a Q&A that would hopefully help you and other realtors as well. So if you need me to stop at any time, just either talk or send a chat message to Alicia and she'll alert me. So this is a little about myself. I served in the Air Force. In my teen years, I began the process of getting my bachelor's and master's in mechanical engineering at that time. I served 12 years as a mechanical engineer, actually designing satellite control systems. It was a very interesting start to a home inspecting career. 20 years managing or restoring damaged properties. And I was a general contractor for a company that grew to, I think we had about 35 employees at one point. But I currently run branch property investigations. We have Alicia and others on our staff. I've gone through a lot of training along the many years of doing this. Some of them include a building science thermographer, certified home inspector, certified microbial remediation supervisor, certified mold tester, and on and on. So I believe I'm a member of the Midwest Association of Home Inspectors, where we used to meet every month, and we will again soon, hopefully. So try to stay current in all the information. So I also work as an expert from time to time, helping to untangle messy situations. So, so today the topic is, you only have usually at most about 30 minutes as you walk through a home. And there's a lot going on in those 30 minutes. You're trying to see for yourself the decor, the layout of the house, the general condition, talk to the buyer. And so we're just going to raise to your awareness some things that you can also be looking for at the same time. So I've been looking for houses to buy myself recently. My wife and I are getting ready to move. If you know of any houses around Bush Lake that are going on the market that no one knows about, we'd love to hear about it in West Bloomington. I've been looking at a lot of houses like you do. What's the condition of the house? I have 30 minutes at most. What can I find out? And so we came up with this presentation to help you, help your buyer, so you can make sure they got the right house. So when we come to inspect, everyone's going to be happy. So today we're going to go over, and I'm going to show you right here. We have this in a little card form. I don't know if you can see this very well, but it shows showing checklist, and it has these 10 items and a brief little description of each one. So this can be a helpful trigger for you after you've gone through this. So we're going to start with the roofs and end in age of stuff, and we'll go through each section: chimneys, siding, decks, windows, foundations, water management, galvanized plumbing, driveways, and age of. And I'll tell some stories along the way. So this is a house I inspected in St. Paul. I was up on the house roof looking down at the garage roof, and I said, oh my goodness, that thing is shot. And it was totally shot. And not only was the roof shot, the whole foundation system was wrecked as well. That garage had to be torn down. And the buyer was unaware of this. The realtor had some insight, but not full knowledge. You couldn't see this from the roof because you're not going to climb on the roof, but you can see it from the ground. A lot of garage roofs you can see from the ground. And so you're looking for things like, are the shingles missing? Are there shingles that sag and curl? And even if you can't see it right then, often I will take a picture with my camera and use my camera phone, and then you can zoom in later on your computer and pick up some details that you may have missed on your phone, or you can even do it on your phone and just zoom in. So you don't have to be on the roof, although that's best, but there's no way, I don't get on roofs and I can assess them pretty accurately from the ground. So another issue we commonly see is algae on a roof, and the reason this is important is because it helps give you an idea of age of roof. So algae starts forming typically about 8 years into a roof. When you see significant staining like this picture here, you're talking more like 15-ish years. This kind of moss, so on a north facing roof or one that's overhung so that the north face is shaded in our area, that's where you're likely to see algae growth because the moisture doesn't evaporate fully and mold and algae, not mold, moss and algae can grow. And so we see this on many roofs. I'm sure you do too. So it just, when you see that, you know the roof is usually 8 years plus old. And that can give you an idea, regardless of what the disclosure says, what the age of the roof is. So now we're going to move on to chimney defects. So I was inspecting a house yesterday in Richfield, and the whole question?
Yeah, this is Mark. Can I interrupt for a quick question? On roofs?
Absolutely.
How effective are zinc strips and that sort of thing for keeping down that algae growth, in your opinion?
They are effective. That's a great question, Mark. Not many people would even know about zinc strips, so I'm impressed that you know. But of course, you have to clean the roof first and then put the zinc strips on. But I hardly ever, I don't know if I've ever seen zinc strips on a roof, so they're almost never used. It's a lot of work to clean the roof first. People are generally disinclined to do that or pay someone to do it. Algae does have a visual impact for sure, and it does have a minor impact on the age of shingles in terms of what their duration is going to be, because the algae will eat into roofing materials, but it's not, it won't cause your roof to fail like years ahead of time. It'll be less than that for sure. So, any other questions, Mark?
No, thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. So when we're looking at chimneys, like I was telling a story about yesterday's chimney, it looked really good from the crown. The crown was great. The bottom, the next 8 courses had been rebuilt, but then the next 5 courses, there was messed up brick and mortar. So chimney repairs, if you've priced them out, can be surprisingly expensive, especially, you know, I was on a roof a few weeks ago, and chimney guy came up and goes, yeah, we got to take this chimney down to the roof, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. And I go, what? Because I was standing on the roof next to him looking at the same chimney. I go, there's repairs here, but there's no need to take the chimney down to the roof. And he said, well, eventually you will. So you got to get the right chimney guy. So that was the wrong chimney guy, because he was about to give the buyer a 15 to 20 grand bill, when in my opinion, it was less than 3 grand probably of repairs that I could see visually. So, but this kind of damage we're looking at here, you can often see parts of it from the ground. You just have to kind of get the right, so as you're walking around the house with the buyer, just look for any vantage point you can get on the chimney, knowing that this is a major cost factor in houses. Chimney repairs can be more than 10,000. It's rare, but it does happen. This chimney here will probably, you'd have to rebuild it probably from the roof up. From what I'm looking at here. And those are expensive repairs, but most chimneys, you're looking at, you know, damaged crown. You can occasionally see the cracks from the ground. It's much easier from the roof. And then looking at gaps in the mortar that show dislocation as brick. So anything you can see from the ground is going to give you more insight, and you're looking for major risk factors, and this is one of them. Harder to see from the ground is going to be the chimney flashing defects, which is one of the reasons I like to climb on roofs whenever possible, because when you get up close, you can really see this well. But this is usually repaired as the roof is being installed, because to do it right, you have to pull the roofing shingles around the chimney off and reflash the area or repair the flashing and then put the shingles back. So it can be a significant expense to do it after, or, you know, if they don't reflash a chimney, if you look at a roof and it looks new and you look at the flashing and it's not new, then you know they didn't pay the extra to do the redo the chimney flashing, and there's probably going to be problems down the road because of that. Siding and defects. So these are I think this is a house I looked at out in Carver. And this house, it was a beautiful home. They were excited about buying it. And I said, have you seen the right side? And they looked at the right side and go, oh, what is happening? It was actually, they had reflective glass in their neighbor's house, and the sun was reflecting off that onto their house and warping the siding from heat. And so the thinner vinyl sidings in particular will warp easily from heat. A lot of times you'll see it around grills and fireplaces if they're close to the siding, but also reflected heat from other houses or even windows in the same house, depending on the orientation, can absolutely cause siding damage like this. And then you can see this bottom picture shows moisture damage and staining. And then when you don't have enough ground clearance, as often happens when people start building up their planters outside a house, they will build it up too high. And you're supposed to have a 6-inch gap between the bottom of the siding and the top of the soil. And if you have less than that, then water can wick up vertically into the house building envelope and cause moisture intrusion issues. So that's one you can easily see from the outside. Doesn't always result in moisture intrusion. It's just a risk factor for it. So as we move into deck issues, I'll pause and see if there's any questions.
Yeah, Tom, this is, I don't want to monopolize the questions here, but do you, from a failure perspective, do you see bigger issues with the Hardie board or the LP Smart side? I know that's kind of an ongoing debate among contractors, which is better. What do you see?
I don't know if I know enough to tell you a sound opinion. I know that the lifetime warranty is not reliable, we'll say.
Is it on anything?
So it's a sales tool to get people to buy the siding. And they figure, the average turn of houses is a few years, and by the time the next buyer owns it, and it could be an issue, the warranty no longer applies. So the paintings, even though they say they're pre-treated and pre-painted, you do have to maintain them. And it's not indefinite that you can leave the original factory coatings intact without ongoing moisture damage that can happen, 10 years down the line or so. So I do know that much, but I don't know. I have some good friends in the siding business. I will ask them that opinion and see what they say. I'm curious now.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
So for decks, when you're looking at a deck, you're not going to see these decks, I hope. But you will see the underside of a deck, and you're looking carefully. This is in 60 seconds or less, I can tell if a deck is well built or potentially a problem. So you're looking for a bunch of things: footings under the posts, trying to see them if at all possible. So you see this picture here shows the footings, visible footings is what you're looking for. And then the way that the framing members are attached and connected, you're looking for framing hardware that has joist hangers holding the joists up. You can see, it's hard to tell in this picture, but often I do see that, but a lot of times the ledger is not attached with the proper connecting hardware to the rim joist inside the wall of the house. And if the ledger fails, which is a common failure issue, this is what happens. The whole deck can collapse. So that's probably the most important thing I look at is how is the ledger attached to the house. There are some specialized deck screws made by different companies that are rated to hold the shear load of a deck. If you don't see one that looks like a specialized deck screw, if you see like drywall screws or nails or other things, then you definitely, or just normal wood deck screws, those are all problems. And what I look for, if I don't see the specialized deck screws or ledger screws, I'll say, is the 1/2-inch bolt with a washer that looks like it has enough shear strength to help hold the ledger. So that's something you can see while looking at just walking around, just poke your eyes back there. And then just check the railings quickly as you're walking up and down stairs or on the deck. Just shake them, see if they're tight. Look for holes in the deck. It could be rotting boards or trip hazards potentially. Offset posts like this. I believe, well, the deck requirements say that for larger decks, you want to use cross bracing, shown here and not shown here. So this is an inspection report where I recommended it be added. The windows, it can be pretty tricky to find broken seals with windows that haven't been cleaned recently. So sometimes what looks like a dirty window is actually a window that has a broken seal. And if you have them side by side, you can often be mistaken. I have been, I know for sure. So we're looking for broken seals that obscure the view. That's the main thing. And the broken seal will also perhaps increase air transmission from the outside into the house, so you'll get more leakage of air. We're looking for signs of condensation for sure, especially on wood windows, that can easily be susceptible to condensation. So you can't, we're not going to see any condensation damage in August. We'll see it in the winter primarily. But you can see signs of moisture staining or things like that that indicate the windows need at least maintenance. And if it's beyond staining, it's gotten into rot, then they may need a replacement. This bottom picture, the whole bottom of the window is rotted out here. That's something you could easily see from the outside. And if you get a chance to operate a window or two, that's always a good deal too, to try to do. Foundation, we have three types that are common here. Of course, basement being the most popular, but a lot of homes that have additions are built on crawl spaces and some are built on slabs. So we have to be able to, it's good to know what type of foundation there is. I'll give you a special aside about stone foundation. So I inspect a fair number of buildings built before 1925, we'll say. And prevailing foundation system is stone. And stone foundations have a couple of problems. The primary one is that there's not enough structural stability in the foundation to reinforce it. So if the foundation's starting to deteriorate, you can't, like, they have these anchoring and bracing systems you can use in block wall. You can't use those in stone. You actually have to build a new wall or replace the wall. So I've seen foundation systems that have stone on the outside and block wall on the inside that have been built inside the old stone foundation. And that, there can be some expensive repairs depending on the condition of the stones. That's a key element in older homes for sure. The other things we're looking for are like major cracks, This is more on the facade of the building, but you see cracks in the block. Now you're going to see settlement cracks in almost any foundation. So minor cracking, we don't trigger on as much. We're looking for V cracking, which is an uneven crack that spreads either up or down, out of plane movement of the foundation. So when you walk in the basement or the outside, just kind of keep your eyes open, looking for that kind of thing. Or certainly any gaps between blocks that are letting daylight through. That would definitely be something you want to pay attention to. And whoever wants to ask questions, including you, Mark, don't feel shy.
Tom,
yes.
I did have a question back on the decks.
Sure.
I recently, someone I know who is going to be repairing a deck was told that, and I didn't get a clear picture, but somehow that the ledger board needs to connect to the actual joists in the house. And I didn't really understand what exactly they were being told. Have you heard of any new code requirements that would go so far as to require something like that?
There is a new attachment system that attaches decks very differently. It's only been in the last couple of years it's come out. That attaches the outside joist to, and I'm not sure if they're anchored to the rim joist or the inside floor joist. I believe it's the rim joist. So
that would make sense. But this seemed to say they couldn't just use, lag bolts or whatever to connect the ledger board to the rim joist. They were talking about if your floor joists ran a certain direction, you had to do this, and if they're at a different direction, they'd have to do that. And I'd never heard of it before. I thought maybe you had, but
I have not.
yeah, it
So-
seemed really weird. Okay.
But I have seen in some newer decks I inspected a different method of attaching that has a longer bolt that runs out to the floor joist, and there's a tensioning mechanism that tensions not just the ledger board, but the floor joist as well. The deck floor joist, not the house floor joist.
Maybe
So-
that's what they were alluding to. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that would make, that kind of tightens because sometimes the floor joists pull away from the ledger. And by putting that kind of tensioning hardware, you're making sure the deck joists stay up against the deck ledger. So that may be what he was referring to.
Okay, that would make more sense. Thank you.
You bet. So scrolling down to now moisture management, water management. This is a key concern in any house. It's one of the areas of specialty that I've developed over the years and expanded after moving to Minnesota because I spent many years living in California where everything was slab on grade, occasionally a crawl space, but almost never a basement. So I had to really develop my knowledge in the 9 years or so I lived in Minnesota. But gutters, so moisture management starts with the gutters. Easy drainage is to put gutters around the roof and extend the downspouts so they're sloping at least 6 to 8 feet away from the house and draining further out in a downward slope. The next easiest step is grading. So you want grading to be sloping downward by 6 inches over the first 10 feet around the house. This is almost always violated. The older the home, the more likely it is. I inspect a ton of homes that have flat grading all the way around them. So then the next level is sump pump drain tile systems, and you want to make sure the sump pump is discharging in a place you can tell where it's going, and it's far enough away from the house that it doesn't recirculate into the whole moisture intrusion system. So I don't like underground sump drains like you see here because I don't know where they end. And so I always flag them in an inspection to say, find out where they go and make sure they're actually discharging where you think they're supposed to. And then this kind of, if people have a sump pump and they never pay attention to it, they don't know you should stick an extension hose on the end of this that gets you minimum of 10 feet away from the foundation and hopefully draining further than that. So this is a better idea of some of the grading issues. A great time to find grading. I actually like inspecting in the rain. Although it's not the most pleasant for me, it gives me tons of clues about the house. And this is a house I was inspecting in the rain, and look at all the water right against the wall there. So we know, you can see a negative grade sloping toward the house, and that water is just sitting there. And the foundation can't resist this indefinitely. It will fail, the waterproofing system. So this is what you're looking for, a downward slope away from the house. This is what you often see, the neutral slope with planters built around it to hold water against the house. So now, a lot of times this is not yet an issue with water coming into the house, or you can't see it. So it doesn't necessarily mean water's coming in the house because you have neutral grading. Negative is much more likely that you're getting a moisture problem. So trigger on the negative, you're going to see neutral everywhere. So I inspected a house yesterday that built in 47, had galvanized plumbing still in the house, pretty common piping material in that age. And this is what you can see on the inside of a pipe, because they do rust both from the inside and outside. And as they rust, they start to congest and they can get completely blocked up. And as I was explaining earlier to Alicia, when you're replacing the piping, it's not just the piping. You often have to remove cabinets to get to the piping. You have to remove sheetrock. You sometimes have to do floor repairs, framing repairs, drywall repairs, and paint repairs. So it's a big deal when there's galvanized plumbing. So we're looking carefully. Now, galvanized plumbing has lasted 70, 80 years. But you don't see it as often in really old homes because it doesn't last 100 or 120 years typically. It's rusted out and been replaced somewhere along the way. So the house I looked at yesterday was 73 years old. I saw corrosion at a number of the fittings and looked like what were almost pinhole leaks that were starting to form through the galvanized piping. So if you see galvanized piping, just know it's an additional risk factor. I will flag it on every inspection to make sure that my buyer or my client is informed of the potential cost of what could happen down the road. Any questions about that? All right, we'll roll into driveways. So this is one that's easily seen by everyone. So you're looking for settling or heaving. You know, we get frost heaves in our climate that create uneven slopes in the driveway, trip hazards, and significant cracking, and can end up in the wrong kind of slope. You see in this bottom picture, the garage, the slope was actually toward the garage. And so this is another inspection I did shortly after it rained. You can see an inch of water or more coming into the garage and just sitting there and causing damage to the garage contents and the foundation over time. So ideally, what you're looking for is minor cracking, no trip hazards, and slopes that are going away from the house or garage. So this is kind of common stuff we'll see. The older the house, more likely to see it. Where people can trip coming in. You get slumping steps or walkway sections. And of course you can mud jack or foam jack, or there's a variety of jacking methods to bring them back to level that are not crazy expensive. But sometimes if it gets too bad, you have to replace sections. And then the last thing, this is a little trickier, but you can still do this. Sorry, I'm having a little problem with the computer. Is checking the age of furnace, air conditioner, and water heater. Now, how the heck do you do that? You look for the serial number on all of them. So if you can take a picture with your camera, your phone, of the serial number of the furnace, the serial number of the condenser, and the serial number of the water heater, you can look those up on Google later and often find out, you know, by comparing the serial number to some of the sites that have them, what the approximate age of different things is. It's not foolproof. Sometimes the labels are faded out. Sometimes they're obscured. My furnace yesterday was obscured. And then another thing, a little tip on the label, when you see a label, if you can't pick up the date, they often list the ANSI standard and the year that the ANSI standard was published that they meet. It's like the furnace yesterday it met an ANSI standard of 1991. And those standards get replaced about every 5 years or so. So I knew it was a 25 to 28-year-old furnace based on the ANSI standard, but even without having the serial number. So those can help you, because what are we looking for? What are the major expenses? They're roofs, plumbing, HVAC utility equipment. You know, where's the moisture intrusion? Those can be huge issues, foundations. So that's why we've constructed this list to try to go along with, and I'll scroll back to the top, the things that are most important to look at: roofs, chimneys, siding, decks, windows, foundations, water management, galvanized plumbing, driveways, and age of stuff. Because if these are all good all the way down the list, then what's left are minor investment in specs, usually minor in expenses that are needed to maintain a property. So Now we have a final Q&A. Anything that's been triggered along the way. Love to hear some new voices if you guys want to pipe in. And this is what we do as a company. Todd is returning from vacation. I'm very thankful next week. So, and Doug is returning when it's safe to do so. So yeah, anything we can help you with, please shoot it out now. And, or you can always call our number here and you'll either reach Alicia or I, and we will do our best to address your, if you're at a site and you see something weird, you can shoot us a text or email, and then we'll try to tell you what you're looking at. I had a realtor do that a couple of weeks ago. He was with a buyer. It's like, what type of shingle is this? And I was able to tell him. So we try to do that extra service wherever we can. So any other questions? Well, I appreciate all you joining in. I hope you gained a lot from it. If you want a card like this, I don't know if you can see this. Can you see this?
I've written their names down and I'll put it in their mailbox.
Then we'll put it in your mailbox here. And when you next come to the office, you'll find a card for you. All right. You have a great day. It's nice to
Thank you,
meet you
Tom.
all. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think if we go, yeah, because otherwise they can't hear you. Okay, so, and we need,
I don't have the Zoom link.
okay, so we gotta get this thing on. And then we might.
I unplugged the microphone for the previous class, but you could hear it out.
Yes, we might need Sammy though, because I'm not so good with this.
Me either, but he was like, I don't want the video and I don't want the microphone, and I was like, off, unplug.
It's not on.
So, all right, I just want to make sure you do that.
Okay, come on, what are you doing? Maybe I'll just save time and get her. This isn't even turning on. It's always something.
Oh, yeah.
Good, how are you?
Not too bad.
Rose, yeah, I couldn't recognize her as well. Yeah. I said, bro, is that you?
Oh, you got it on.
No, I don't have, don't I need a link for Zoom?
Oh, yeah. So can you show me the best way, like when he's going to share something on his computer, like what you did with Tony the other day? Remember that we
Is it
had,
within the Zoom, you click share screen?
that's what we,
That's
what you
all
did?
I did.
Okay.
Do you have the meeting link? Meeting,
Where's, yeah, Zoom's
Numbers.
not even on there.
because it's his computer.
Oh,
Do you have Zoom on your computer installed?
Yes. I mean, I'm on Zoom call, so I'm assuming
Okay.
yes.
Well,
Yes.
Open it up and we'll give you the.
Actually, I would always just click on the link
Oh.
and it brings me to it.
And forward
Forward it. Okay.
That way he has it.
Where's- How would you like it?
Email.
And the password is 265.
It is. It is
Always.
indeed. We kept it easy.
Right?
How was your Chipotle yesterday?
Oh, delicious. How was yours?
Pretty rock solid.
Yeah.
Pretty rock solid.
That doesn't get any better.
We had lunch. I'm like, I don't feel like this lunch. I want Chipotle lunch. Let me know if you
Okay, if I
Still
send
need-
that,
stuff.
I replied to our email.
It don't want to come in.
Shane's big noggin.
If the, yeah, like that one, what happens if you open that one? Nothing, it's probably not there.
Oh, there it is.
Wow, isn't that crazy? Like email really should take that long. That was like at
Insane.
least a minute.
Mhm.
Like, it's
like that movie, Wreck-It Ralph. I had to go down and around and then pull up in the computer.
Yes. I'm 265. I'm over this mask. Another meeting in progress. Do me a favor and undo or unplug the HDMI. Let me go stop the other meeting in progress. Hi guys, how's it going? Goodbye.